I'm afraid the deflector shield will be quite operational when your friends arrive.
Welcome back to the Star Wars Guys podcast. As always, we are your hosts. We got Mike.
Hello there.
Myself, Nate. Hello there.
We always do that.
And you know him well.
Hello
Uncle.
Hello there.
Hello there.
I tried
Hello
to go.
there.
I
It just
tried.
feels right. It
I
just
tried to go
feels
with a different hello
right.
there, like hello there.
Hello
Just,
there.
just,
Hello there.
just keep switching up the.
Yeah, welcome back
The
to the
delivery.
show. As you see in the title, we are unlike last week's title. What
was it?
We are. What did we do last week?
I don't remember.
I don't remember. Return of the Jedi, 40th anniversary, and we're gonna do it. We're gonna celebrate. That's one thing we always taled about when we started this
Hey,
podcast.
punch it. That's
was
my shirt.
See?
we are celebrating all things Star Wars. That's what we want to do. We want to celebrate Star Wars, and what it means to us, what it's brought to us, and what a better time than to focus in on Return of the Jedi.
Tomorrow, the day, 40th anniversary to the day, May 25th, 1983.
Wow.
Return of the Jedi hits theaters. Little statistics here. You want to hear some stats to start with?
Yeah,
Please,
let's
please.
hit us with some stats.
Return of the Jedi launched in 1,000. I got this memorized just because. No,
Oh my
it's in this
goodness.
list.
I love it.
Launched
Got the
in
book open.
1,002 theaters to a first day record gross domestic $6.1 million.
Woo!
By the way, we looked it up.
Yeah.
Average ticket price at that point was like $3.15. Went on to gross
is-
$252 million, making it the #1 movie of the year.
Wow.
Return of
my
the Jedi.
goodness.
Revenge
of
of
the
the
Jedi.
Jedi. started.
Revenge of the
Revenge,
Jedi.
yeah.
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 And then George realized
What?
Jedi aren't supposed to seek revenge. They
No,
re-
no,
they
no, no.
return. They
Could you imagine the Twitterverse if he let out
Imagine.
Revenge of the Jedi today? It would be lit
Ryan
up.
doesn't even understand Star Wars. You want to have the Jedi. You want to have the Jedi seek revenge.
That's exactly what
Parker, what's going on? Parker said, "Hello there, hello there." Why don't you, Uncle? What
Was
book,
that my
what
complaining
book
voice?
you got there?
I have got the Star Wars by year visual history,
My goodness, that is an
love it.
awesome looking book.
and it's really cool.
That
it
is
goes
so
through
great.
basically, believe it or not,
Year by year.
year by year.
And I've got it turned right to 1983. We have a quote to start the show, and I thought this quote was pretty cool.
Yeah.
It says, see if you can guess who said this.
Oh,
I think Jedi is the best Star Wars movie ever made, and it is definitely going to be the most successful. You guys know I already told you.
wow.
Yeah.
Steven Spielberg.
Steven
Then
Spielberg.
now, for
Spielberg.
those not familiar, does he know anything about film?
He made a couple at this point.
He's made a couple?
few.
Did he?
Yeah.
That's it. Just a
Just
couple.
few.
The
Mm.
greatest
E.T.
director of
was
all
the
time.
big one at that
Yeah.
point. But yeah.
Oh.
Not to mention Jaws.
Jaw.
Yeah. Not to mention
Jaws.
the first blockbuster ever.
That is awesome.
Yeah, really.
That's awesome. It's what's great is when you think about Return of the Jedi. I was actually really excited when we decided that we were going to do a podcast episode about Return of the Jedi, because I don't think we talk about it enough on the podcast.
We don't.
I think that there are,
Yeah.
especially with current, we talk a lot of current shows, current films. We go back to, even when we're having our discussions of rankings, sometimes Return of the Jedi is a little bit of an afterthought for some of us as far as what we describe, just because when we went through in the last podcast, I believe we gave some, it wasn't even a full like ranking list, but it was like,
Right.
we talked about some of our favorites, and we talked about things about like nostalgia, and we
Yeah.
talked a lot about 4 and 5.
Yeah.
We didn't talk about a lot about Return of the Jedi, so I'm
Right.
glad that it's finally getting its due.
Yeah.
Hopefully, unless we do what we normally do, which is veer off course, because that's going to happen.
We will.
Yeah.
But
There's a
and
good
we do
chance
our
won't
job
talk
right.
about it at
And we
all.
have
we'll talk
Joe
about
to keep us on
Joe.
track.
Say
That
hello
is-
there, Joe.
Lanjo is going to keep us.
Lan-
Hello
Joe.
there.
Hey.
Hey.
Look at that.
Hey,
Joe
look
in
at
the
that.
studio over there. I love it.
Stew.
Wow.
with the
Yes,
technological,
It's awesome.
with the technological, not technological terror, not as, but mastery.
Don't
over
be too
that. I love
confident.
that.
Yes.
It's technological terror.
Joe's
You
in the
could stop
studio.
it.
If you guys weren't here last week or you didn't have a chance to listen to that episode yet, Joe, new addition to the team, huge
Lanjo.
addition. Lanjo Calrissian.
Well,
whoa.
Producing everything for us, but we're bringing him
Producing
on for the
everything.
show. Another Star Wars guy here with us, and so you'll see some cuts to.
They might say that
Lanjo.
Lanjo is the administrator of this facility.
Hey.
he is. He is. It only took one
Well,
day
well,
of Joe being here to realize he's taken over
You'll
He's
smooth
got it.
for good. Not
How
for
you
bad.
doing, you old pirate?
How you
The
doing,
most
you old
aggressive,
pirate?
violent hug of all time, where they both snap their necks.
Now
George
you
is
do
like,
it,
yeah, faster,
Chewbacca.
more intense. They're like, we can't go more intense. We can't go more intense. We need a
Still
neck
hanging
brace,
out with his
George.
pirate.
I love it.
Faster,
I heard he
more
had a
intense.
stunt
Faster,
double.
more intense. Ah.
Heard he had a stunt double do that. Actually,
You did?
it was so intense.
The
That
hug.
was stunt
Most
double.
intense hug in history. I love it. I love it.
So
Oh, my
great.
goodness. Well, where
like
to
it.
begin other than...
Quotes, more quotes.
Well,
I don't know.
Oh, do we have more quotes?
Can we talk about the first memory we have?
That's what I was gonna. That's
Yeah.
actually what I was gonna do. So
Alright.
you take it because I like it better when you say it.
Well, for
I
me,
like your memory a lot better.
I am
I prefer your memories over.
putting me back in 1983. In 1983, I would be turning 14 that August. So I'm 13 years old. This is like wheelhouse for me.
yeah.
So I'd seen episode 4 in the theater. Waited 3 years.
which at the time was
'Cause
not
that's
episode
it.
4.
No, it
Yeah.
wasn't just Star Wars. I don't remember if it said New Hope. I'm not even sure. I think it just said Star Wars. I can't remember. Waited 3 whole years to see Empire.
Wait, you mean it didn't come out on Disney Plus a
Did
few months
not
later?
come out. Could you imagine? Waited 3 more years to figure out whether or not Darth Vader was lying. I thought for sure
Yeah.
he was lying when he said, "I am your father." I thought that was a lie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm coming into Return of the Jedi to see it in the theaters, thinking we're going to find out. That was the big thing for me. We're going to find out. Is he really Luke's father? I thought, no way, it can't be.
Yeah.
No, was that you or was that like at the time?
That was the talk.
Was that the talk?
I mean, there was no
Found out
Twitter
later
verse,
that it,
but there
yeah,
was.
I found out later that it was actually a concern of George Lucas. You probably
Yeah.
heard this story.
yeah.
That's why he had it. He had Yoda to confirm, because if
Yeah.
Yoda says it, then we will believe it.
Yeah.
He had. That's one of the reasons
Is
I
it
think Alec
true?
Guinness. Yeah.
Is Darth
Is
Vader
he-
actually
That's why
my father?
Alec Guinness had to come
Yeah.
back. I think that's
He
one of the
is.
reasons they brought Alec Guinness back for that scene
He had
when he
to.
talked to him, because then he's like, "You told me Vader betrayed and
I
murdered."
know.
From a certain point of view.
What I told you was true from a certain point of George. Basically,
George, help me
George,
out.
explain yourself.
Just say the line.
It's like
Just
that's when
faster,
George
more
is sitting there going,
intense. Faster, more
they weren't
intense.
really they didn't focus on them kissing his sister today, because boy, do I got a doozy for that one.
Right.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. I mean, it was a different time too, the way
Yeah.
movies are discussed. So I love even just hearing that you were thought about and had the time to think about,
Right.
like your own speculation. So many people speculate over the moon about everything nowadays, but even then, the speculation of, is he telling the truth? You came in. Did you go into the movie at all thinking that we would confirm that he was lying?
Yeah.
Is that what you thought?
Yep.
It wasn't just kind of up in the air. You thought, I
thought
don't
for
believe
sure
it. I think
was
You're
a
gonna
lie.
find out
that
it was a lie.
Yeah.
Well,
That's what I
because
thought.
he's done nothing to show he's trustworthy. at
Well,
this
he's the
point.
main
Yeah.
villain. Why
Right.
would you trust him?
Right. He's
Exactly.
it's
And so that's
perfect
why
thing
George
to try to
had-
get him to sway, but he's not
Yeah.
really.
I
He
mean,
can't be.
I mean, I didn't get to experience it in the same way you did.
He didn't want to go. I asked
I
him if he
mean,
wanted to go. He didn't
yeah.
want to go.
I got
yeah,
stuff to do.
couldn't go.
His
Yeah.
excuse was he was negative 23. Ugh.
What a
Was
terrible
born yet.
excuse.
What a terrible
excuse.
reason.
But relating it to the Last Jedi,
Nate's
as,
not
as
17
we do,
years old, by the
naturally.
way. I
Yeah.
just didn't
Bringing
know.
up-
It
bringing
all
up the
comes
last-
back to the Last
It all comes
Jedi.
back to the Last Jedi.
Ryan Johnson's a co-writer on Return of the Jedi, by the way.
Yeah, yeah.
Really?
Uh,
Wow.
He was -4. He's so good. He co-wrote Return of the Jedi before he was alive.
He's the
Wow.
youngest.
No, but it
Hollywood
reminds me
writer.
of Kylo telling Ray that you're no one, you come
Exactly.
from nothing. Because
That's
I
right.
left that also thinking,
But
but
that's
is that true? That
that's
doesn't.
right.
She's got to be from someone.
It's not an
So
accident.
I
that
never
happens in
really
the middle
believed
chapter.
that either.
Yeah,
He's thinking the same way.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love it.
Mhm.
What was so we'll stick with Uncle for just
Oh,
for a
let's
minute
interview
here.
Uncle.
Hot
Because
seat.
I
hot
also-
seat. Hot
How
seat.
you
Joe,
feel?
what do you got?
I was not around
Yeah.
until 1991.
Yep.
Was when I was born. Hold your birthday gifts. Actually, I'm a summer birthday. Feel free to send them. But
He's like Amazon link in the bio.
yeah, link just if you want to see my wish list. It's in the bio below.
Thing? People do that, don't they?
People do that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
People do that.
People do that. Yeah.
People do that. Oh, okay, sorry. I was, but
Off the rails.
my initial, this is going to go back to Uncle in a second, but the reason I want Uncle's take is he's the only one who saw it in theater.
Yeah.
Coming out of the theater or watching it in the theater with others, what was there a general? I mean, when we watch a Star Wars movie now, we're not necessarily talking to the stranger always beside us, but you
That's
can
right.
tell. I walk out of Avengers Infinity War, I can see the excitement of everyone around
Yeah.
me.
Oh yeah.
Or at the end of Infinity War, shock, kind of what
Yeah,
happened at the
yeah.
end.
Yeah.
Same thing with the current Star Wars movies. You see either, immediate reaction of people who are loving this, disliking it, somewhere in between. Was it, they defeat the Empire. This is general. I mean, this is like the victory of all victories when you think of the end of Return of the Jedi. What was the feeling like walking out of the film?
Well, yeah, I was only 13, and I was totally dialed into Star Wars.
Yeah.
Loved it. Or I was 12 at the time. Or I was 13 at the time. I don't remember anybody being negative about it.
Yeah.
I don't remember any talk like
Mm.
one of those little Ewok things. I don't remember any of that
Yeah.
at all. Nobody said, "How did they build that second one so fast?" Nobody said that stuff.
Yeah.
It was just not.
all the nitpicky things.
Yeah,
that
it
people
was.
had
Yeah.
It was.
came
I
later.
think for me, it was received great.
Yeah.
And it's so it was so different then because you can't go back and watch 4 and 5. There's no way to see them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're not on TV. George didn't release them
Completely different
television.
experience.
So I'm remembering like what Vader said or what Obi-Wan said. I don't remember exactly what they said. So it was hard to like. Now you can pause it and
True.
go look and go, did he say that? Oh
Yeah.
no, he said this.
You turn on the captions now, and I can
Can't
tell.
I
do it
rewatch
then.
all the movies now before going and watch a new one.
Yeah, you couldn't do that.
Yeah.
You had to go from
Yeah.
memory. But
Yeah.
I think the consensus, it was a huge hit,
Yeah.
blockbuster hit, was positive.
Yeah.
I don't remember. There was no way to complain. Who are you going to complain to? What are you going to call somebody?
Yeah. Exactly. It's
What are you going to?
yeah.
What are you going to just tell
Just
your
flipping through the yellow
your
page
brother,
first,
your cousin?
Lucas.
There's
Yeah.
nowhere to
Put
complain.
an ad in the local paper.
Yeah, it just
what are you gonna
didn't.
do?
It's a very different time.
Yeah.
But it
It
was,
is.
from what I heard, all my friends, all the kids, everybody loved it.
That's awesome. My first experience of watching it. So we've talked on the podcast before. First time I had ever watched Star Wars, I was about 6 years old. Watched it with you and Matt in our grandma's basement at the time in
Mhm.
Cincinnati, Ohio.
Do you remember seeing Jedi the first time, or does it blend in?
It kind of blends in.
It does, yeah.
I very much remember A New Hope.
Yep.
And then it might have been 3 days in a row we watched.
Probably
those
watched them all
movies,
at the same
because
time.
I do feel
Put my VHS.
3
Yes,
years,
definitely
3 days.
I think
Yeah,
Uncle.
same thing.
I think
I
Uncle.
think I said you got to wait at least a day
correctly.
or something.
Yeah, I think probably he
I
probably
waited 3 years. You're
Yeah,
waiting.
just
You're waiting
wait.
24
like,
hours.
you don't get. We probably were like now. You're like you definitely don't get 2 in one day.
Let it
All right. You're gonna
sit.
forget which movie was which if we start doing this. So that's not gonna happen.
Let it
We're
simmer.
not about to be the family that thinks that in A New Hope he found out that the Ewoks came and Vader said, "I'm your father."
That's
and
right.
everything
It's all one movie.
Yeah,
Well, you
exactly.
guys would have seen before the special edition too.
Yeah.
This
Yeah,
would have
I
been
definitely
the,
did.
Like
Yeah.
straight up.
Yeah.
So obviously, very young when I saw the original 3, but those are all of my memories as far as Star Wars came from those original 3 movies because then that led to. I still have them. I have. I think Matt's our older brother. Matt's. I think book is upstairs somewhere. I know mine is actually at my house. Actually, I might have even left here because I was looking at it recently. Of our actual Star Wars stories that we had handwritten
man.
on our own
Yep.
after watching the original 3
Is that
films well before the prequels had come out.
Yep.
And this was all. We were writing.
Is it true, Ryan?
Imperial
referenced
officer
those?
stories.
We did.
Yeah, we're writing stories about the Imperial officers.
They're here. We should do these live.
Yeah.
Why don't we?
Isn't it true?
Oh, we
Ryan referenced
we
those
should
for
do
Last
this.
Jedi.
Ryan referenced.
He referenced those. He referenced
did,
the Sacred Jedi text.
Well,
with,
he did the book of the book of the Sith or whatever.
He actually did.
He did that, and then he
The
did
Jedi
my
and the
he
Sith,
did
yeah.
my Yaddle story also that I wrote that's upstairs.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
that's pretty good.
Shout out
Actually, I
to
think it was
Yaddle.
Matt who wrote a Yaddle story. It's actually upstairs. We'll have to do a
Wow.
podcast about this.
Oh, that's good.
great.
But so I did not have all growing up. It wasn't even until probably the last 10 years, maybe 15 years, that I actually had heard anybody even be negative about the Ewoks. Like when I grew up, I was like, okay, all 3 of those movies in my mind at that age were perfection. I had no nitpicks about any of it.
Yep.
I loved it. I still to this day hold that the throne room scene in Return of the Jedi is
yeah.
up there, if not the best of anything we've ever
Mhm.
gotten in Star Wars. Like
Yeah.
I will not ever.
Yeah.
That's never a scene that I would be able to. All right, I gotta
It's
go.
a
I got
soundbite bonanza.
it. It is every single line.
Yeah.
Copyright Star Wars guys 2023.
Sorry.
Trademark.
Sound
Do
What's
we have a sound for that, Joe?
Michael
It's a soundbite bonanza.
Michael Scott T-shirt idea. Goodbye stink.
Soundbite.
Yeah, we're gonna have to clip that, and we'll put that in the board for next time.
That's it.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's a soundbite
Bonanza.
Starring
It's a soundbite bonanza. Meanwhile, on Christoph
says.
it's a soundbite
Mike
bonanza.
continues with his thoughts.
Uncle.
That's so good.
So I grew up absolutely loving Return of the Jedi. Still love it to this day. And there are so many. The Emperor is one of my favorite characters. Not that I agree with him. I always have to get up in front of that.
Easy. This
Not
guy.
that I agree
I
with him.
wasn't agreeing with him before it was cool
Yeah,
not to
the more
agree
I
with him.
less I care for him.
Oh man.
Yeah, we're opposed to evil and
we are opposed
genocide.
to. We are opposed to.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
For the record.
For the record,
staunch opposition.
he had bad ideas.
He had bad
That's the
ideas.
softest-
But fun to watch.
That's the softest take on the Emperor. Listen, he
Listen.
had bad ideas.
He had bad
Um,
ideas.
No, the character's so entertaining.
had some good ones.
The
A
character's
lot of battle.
good ones.
Just kidding.
The character of the Emperor is so
Yeah.
entertaining. I've heard interviews
Oh,
of
he's so
Ian
great.
McDermott talking about how he intentionally, especially when you get to the prequels, like intentionally delivers these big, like operatic, over the top. He's supposed to be a larger than life
Yeah.
villain.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it is not supposed to be based in reality.
Like your quote.
He is the ultimate power.
Yes.
He is
Just joking around.
shields would be quite operational. Like he's taunting Luke in the middle of
Yeah.
this, and I remember even as a child going like, "What is it?
Stab him.
Hey, are you taunting my Luke? Are you taunting my Luke? Hey, what's that flashing?" I was basically just Luke at that age. But every single
Can I
line
kill
in
him
the
now?
throne room scene, there's like
so
every
good.
single one of them.
Yeah.
I mean, I love your faith in your friend is yours. Yeah, the
Yeah.
overconfidence is your weakness. Your
And I
faith
didn't think it was weird when he said
yours.
pitiful band.
Pitiful.
Now I go
band.
pitiful band. Who
Pitiful
talks like
band.
that?
I'm like
Yeah.
pitiful band.
But
I'm,
back
I'm
then-
thinking of Luke putting around the banjo.
Pitiful.
Going,
Band. What do I lead guitar?
you know, Luke in the
Hit it, boys.
Flashing. It's your mic. Turn it on, doofus.
It's your mic. Turn it
You don't know that band, the grassroots band, Luke and the Womp Rats?
Look at the womp rats.
Luke and the Womp
He just bullseye on Womp Rats. Oh man, Nate, first thoughts on Return of the Jedi.
First thoughts on Return of the Jedi.
This is our first
I
thoughts
probably
on
have
Return
the
of Jedi.
least amount of
It
memories.
does it blend
Yeah,
in? It's the
I have even
canvas.
less memories than that. It all blends in with
My kids
watching
are that
the
way with
original
all of them, except for
at,
the new
yeah.
ones.
at Grandma's house. Yeah,
Mhm.
just watching the originals. Then
Mhm.
it all kind of blends.
Yeah.
'cause I was so young, but no, I mean, I think it's more, and I think we've said this on the podcast before. Really, ever since starting the show, starting Star Wars guys, and really when Disney took over and got Star Wars, I just, knowing it was coming back, diving deeper and deeper into Star Wars, leading to us starting a podcast, is when I really not just watched, because obviously even before all that, growing up, Star Wars was always like, anybody asked, I was like, yeah, Star Wars is my favorite. I love Star Wars. But ever since then, just growing up and now becoming more fond of just film and how, just even directing shots, cinematography, dialogue, as I continue to grow and become more knowledgeable in those fields, I feel like I almost appreciate a lot of that even more. Even the
Yeah.
stuff that's like, I could look at and be like, oh, that was kind of
Right.
a jokey line
Yeah.
or maybe something else. But now when I watch those lines, especially with a lot of the Disney stuff and comparing what they've done, it's just fascinating. And it's easy to look back now at what George did with the originals and just be like, it's genius.
Yeah.
It's genius.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things we mentioned last week that Luke was referred to as the last Jedi
Yeah.
Yeah.
in Return of the Jedi. He
Yes.
said, "When I die, the last Jedi you will be."
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
anybody who's like Ryan Johnson, when's he? It comes from
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yoda.
Yoda.
Yeah.
Yoda called Luke the last Jedi.
It's also perfect.
Which, perfect. Yeah, I was going to say.
The Yoda's the one who returns in The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
And again, of course, he's the one. Young Skywalker. Yeah, like, I love that.
looking to the horizon.
Master Yoda. He can immediately. Like,
Yeah.
Jedi tech. Let them have you. I take
the best. Let them have you. Well, you've been sitting here on a literally a planet with nothing else to do. You haven't even gotten through. He's like,
Page turners, are they?
Pagers, they're not.
No,
I love it.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah. There's just when I think of Return of the Jedi, there are so many. I mean, I think of Boba Fett.
Boba Fett.
think of Boba Fett, I
even
think
though
of,
obviously Boba Fett
We're on
introduced introduced technically in the holiday special.
That's right.
I really do think of just like
He's
But
just
there's so
standing
much.
there.
You
in
think of
Empire.
Jabba, you think
Prime
of-
Luke. Like
Right,
when I
right,
think
right.
Return of the Jedi, I think the main thing I think of is one the ending, just
Yeah.
the Vader's redemption and
Yep.
the turn, but then also just when it's the first movie, and I just rewatched it the other day, and it's the first movie where I'm like, this is the image of what everybody remembers Luke Skywalker as.
Yeah.
Like people are like, oh, that's Luke Skywalker, this powerful Jedi.
He's got the green, ignite
He's got
the green.
He's the best Jedi we've ever seen. So strong. He's the one who defeated Vader.
Yep.
Not a lot of people like or really think about the Luke that was the first two, where he was a little more whiny, still
Yeah.
learning and all
Right.
this stuff. And then we see him walk into Jabba's palace with the hood on and using force
Starts
choke
choking
and,
people.
and trying to use Jedi mind trick and all this stuff. And you're like, okay, that's like the image of
think
Luke that
Those
we
were
all
George was still even a
think
little
of.
iffy on his own canon with Luke
Exactly
choking
what I
out-
was gonna
choking out
say.
Gamorrean guard.
I think that Return of the Jedi might be the end of the innocence of Star Wars,
Mm.
where all of the pieces didn't have to match.
Yeah.
It didn't matter
Yeah.
that much that Luke used force choke on the.
I never, as a kid, was like, he can't
It
do
also
that.
It
wasn't
didn't
like
matter
a-
that Boba
no.
Fett died.
I mean,
that
did you even
way.
think of it
Wasn't-
as a
yeah.
like force choke? That's a Sith thing.
I didn't
like,
know what
it's
force
not
choke was
Yeah, it was
until
just- it's a
like it
force.
didn't have
the,
a name.
The
I was
only
like,
thing that was
oh,
obvious.
Vader does that choke thing. We did.
The only thing that was obvious.
It was
and I think-
intentional to try and
Yeah.
show that
They were trying to
could
show that
Luke-
he's
Luke
wearing
Yeah.
black the whole
Yeah.
film.
Yep.
He's got the glove.
Right.
You're supposed to think obviously
he's like Vader.
it's supposed to be like Vader. He's got the mechanical hand.
Yeah.
Now they're supposed to be flirting with the fact
Yeah.
that is he
Right.
going to go to the dark side?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
so yeah, at the time I knew then like, whoa, I've never seen Luke do that, but I didn't go.
The Jedi text. You can't do that.
He
Like,
can't do
Yeah,
that.
and I
It's just-
think-
it wasn't the way. It's not the way. That's
right.
I think it's genius too, because like
That's not the way we watched movies back then.
yeah,
I just saw Ryan Johnson on a different level. Is he telling us? Was Ryan Johnson telling us that we need to lighten up and enjoy the movie again? Is he trying to say?
Well, some people would say
Yeah.
that Ryan was telling us he hates
Enjoy-
Star Wars, so he made a
enjoy
That's true.
the-
$200 million movie to
Like-
crap on it.
but even
Those would be
George,
morons,
George
to be
talks
clear.
about the
But yes.
parallels
Lock
of Star
in
Wars.
so much.
Yeah.
Lighten up.
Even George talks about hyped all the time. If you watch the interviews and stuff, it's like Star Wars is poetry. Like it rhymes. If it happened here, it happens again. It happens
Yeah.
again. It's very poetic. And when he went back and did the prequels, you can see first two, episode 1, episode 2, you kind of get a vibe for how Anakin is. Episode 3, Anakin's wearing all black.
Yeah,
It's the all black. Even even before the turn,
that's right. He's in.
his outfit. He's the one wearing all black.
Mhm.
And just like Return of the Jedi,
Mhm.
Luke's wearing all black. Luke gets to the point where he starts kind of rage fighting, but then recognizes,
Hmm.
sees his hand. He's like, I'm not
Yeah.
turning. I'm not going to become that. But George then goes back, makes the prequels, makes it very similar, except shows the difference between Luke and Anakin. Luke and Anakin just went too far.
Mhm.
But I think even just those small details are.
Absolutely.
are
I was
cool.
asking my kids on the way home, Joe, you might remember this too. On a I'm not going to put you on the spot if you watched this week, but on a second viewing, do you remember when Han Solo, they're trying to get into the to take down the shield,
Mhm.
trying to get into that little base on
Yeah.
Endor, and
Yeah.
there, and he gets the guard comes up behind him, he's like, hands up, don't move,
Yeah.
and he looks at Leia, and and she pulls out her blaster, and he says,
I
I love
I
you.
love you. She says, I know.
Yeah.
So perfect. That was great.
So
It was
great.
awesome.
I was watching that again, like, oh, that's right, I forgot that.
That's so good.
So many
Yeah.
moments.
She
like
got
that.
her moment back of him being
Right.
all snobby.
And I forgot. I
Yeah.
forgot how fun the Ewoks were as a kid.
Yeah.
Eli, my son, is 6, dialed in Jedi, like more than the others. We were watching it. He's like, laughing at him and,
Oh yeah.
and
I mean,
so sad when they don't
yeah.
get up.
Oh yeah.
Exactly. He's shaking his friend. You're like,
Yeah.
oh my
Loving
goodness.
it when they put the logs out and they stumble and
We got
throwing
Elite in the
rocks at
chat.
the-
Hello there.
so
welcome,
great.
welcome, welcome.
so great.
yeah.
So it is, in some ways, it was more for kids, maybe. In
Yeah.
some ways,
I feel
than
like
even episode 4 or even 5.
yeah. I feel like George does a good job of having the big picture, but then intentionally having those characters that are going to connect to the
Yeah.
young, like the youngest of the audience.
Right.
That like there's a little bit of a range.
Mhm.
Obviously, there's themes and stuff that might be a little older.
Yeah.
Even for like even George's claiming like saying they're kids movies.
Mhm.
Some older themes, but then having the 3PO and R2 kind of banter and jokey and Jar Jar,
For sure.
like that sort of stuff. That's gonna he always has those types of characters that he pulls in, and then the Ewoks.
Yeah.
So it makes sense. Like
Yeah.
there's always some sort of character that kind of he pulls in
Yeah.
to fit that void
For
or
sure,
fit
to
that,
reach that group.
audience. Yeah, that group. Yeah, exactly.
The Return of the Jedi also, I think, has, when you're talking about that, it also has moments, like you said, the humorous moments are different than some of the other ones. As far as, I think they are, like you said, more maybe prequel-esque. Now, there's no, Han Solo's not stepping in poop like the way Jar Jar is, but he is about to be roasted by some killer bears.
He is.
Some killer teddy bears are
Yeah.
roasting him over an open fire.
Right.
And there's a flame that comes by, and he's going. He's like helplessly trying to blow out a flame that he can't blow out. Like it's a funny
yeah.
gag. Like it's a
Yeah.
thing. It's. And then he's also, we've talked about this on the podcast, but he's tapping 3PO and 3PO.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and then also. Then
Hurry
also,
up, would you?
hurry up, would you? You're like, oh, okay. And so like, it's clearly like if that happened today, everyone would go, "Whoa, that took me out of the movie."
Right.
Like, even when I watched
the
it as an
time, it's
adult, I
funny.
just go, oh, it's
It's
a
funny.
funny thing that as a
Yeah.
kid I didn't care. It's not my favorite part of the movie. It doesn't have to be. But I know that
Yeah.
there's some people out there, and there's probably a lot of people in theaters were like, that was funny.
Yeah.
That was really
Yeah.
funny. When there's a I mean, just even his shrug, like when
Yeah.
Exactly.
they fall into the trap, and then he comes around the corner, and all the rebels are there, and then like it's
Yeah. It's
just
like
It's
that's
Han
even
Solo.
that's a little Ben. That's a
It
little Ben
is.
solo of
it is
he's
very
with
Ben Solo.
the saber comes up and
knights?
he does the little it's
Yeah.
almost a little Han
Yeah.
Solo.
I love how
move there.
actually
Yeah.
in that scene there's another just great with JJ and the directing that moment of showing the difference between Kylo and Ben, because
Mhm.
Kylo is like
That's
they
right.
intentionally show the more of the Han Solo moments,
Yeah.
the
it
shrug,
feels different.
more the smile, the shrug, a little more comedy with his
Mhm.
character when he comes back to the light. But then he's also running and does the no look shot, just like he's like running over his
Yes.
shoulder, does the no look shot with the blaster, just like Han Solo.
He's also running. Like
Awesome.
we've seen some famous scenes of Han running, and we see
Around the
Ben
corner, he
running.
runs around the corner.
You don't see
boom,
you
no
see
look.
Kylo stooping around. He's always doing like
Yeah.
this, like-
Exactly.
He has the heaviest feet in the world.
Right.
Yeah, I actually remember
so
watching
often.
that, and as soon as in theater, as soon as
Oh,
he did that
that's him.
shot, I was like, "Oh, that's Han." I was like, "I
Oh,
love
it's him.
it." So good.
It's
Let me
but
ask you a
it's great.
question. I'll give you a minute to think. Joe, you're in this too.
Oh,
I want you first Return of the Jedi. I want you to think of your favorite moment from the movie. I'm going to share mine while you're thinking.
Favorite moment.
Favorite
Chat,
moment
You can
from-
let us know yours
Or
as well.
scene, or thing, or element, or line, but favorite moment. Mine would probably be the speeder bikes. The whole thing was something we hadn't seen before.
Oh yeah.
The whole scene through the trees, and when Luke pulls out that saber and cuts the front of that
That's
speeder bike
awesome.
off and it
Yeah.
spins in it, that whole scene
is awesome.
was
It is great.
fantastic.
I can do. I mean,
loved it.
I can say mine,
Yeah.
but maybe I actually need the help from the three of us.
Ooh. Which was not in there.
No, that
No.
was just a lead-in for us to do that. It was all for the payoff of Uncle going all out there at the end.
Slobber.
It's just I'm
Not
just
even
I
close
always
to what he's saying.
I
love
die
it.
laughing thinking George saw Return of the Jedi, saw Spielberg
You know what this
say,
needs?
this is the best Star Wars movie. This is the best movie you've ever
thought,
made. And he said,
You know what it's missing?
It's missing
Almost.
something. And then he makes that. And they edit together, and he's like, perfect. That's exactly that's exactly how I want that to be. No one could ever think
Now,
this is weird at
It's
all.
finished.
We got something here. Let's
Man,
see.
yeah, that's
So you, yeah,
so that was a joke. That's not my favorite.
genuinely.
To be very clear. I mean, I think
know.
I always have to go to
all the Emperor scenes.
all the Emperor, the Emperor
Yeah.
the trio of the Emperor, Vader, Luke. I watch that
Yeah.
every single time. It's really a lot of it's the way it's shot, the color, the blue and the black, like
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
coloring. That set is one of my favorite sets in all of Star Wars, and
You can see the battle
It's-
happening out
Yeah.
the
you
right
see
out
the
the
battle. He's
window.
looking out.
He's
There's
just watching.
it's
Yeah.
it's by far it's when we really get to hear from the Emperor,
Yeah.
and we've had the shadow of the Emperor and all these different little moments.
Yeah.
But this is the Emperor. We see his face. He's talking, and it's just like dialogue, temptation. This Vader. You're trying to, as a kid, even as an adult, you're sitting there. You're trying to read the room of is like. Now, a lot of times when we watch movies, whether it's a superhero movie or anything, a lot of times we go into the big bad moment, whether it's a Thanos or whatever, and you think the hero's got this. Like, you just think, now, Thanos might be a different example because he killed a lot of the heroes, but there's a lot of moments in movies that you think, well, I know the hero's going to survive,
Right.
so so I'm not nervous when I see him in there. I remember watching as a kid and thinking, I'm nervous for Luke because this is the Emperor and Vader. There's two of them, and then especially as it progresses, and the Emperor, after Luke gives into his
And
anger and his
Luke
fear.
already said going into it, I'm not gonna kill him.
He throws, and then all of a sudden the lightning comes out, and I'm thinking, I remember as a kid thinking like, is Luke Skywalker gonna die?
And it's
this
the last
is my
movie.
biggest hero. This
and
is
you know
the-
it's the last movie.
It's the
Yeah.
last movie. It wasn't at the time
Yeah.
like, well, and then George will make more.
Right.
This is
That
the
was
end.
it.
This is the last movie. I'm worried for him. So
Mhm.
No.
there's always that
I'll
element.
never turn to the dark
I'll
side.
never join.
Yeah, it's a mixture of
Jedi
me
like
being
my father
being
before me.
afraid watching
So
it, and then
good.
having like the most heroic thing, which again we talk about all the time on here, how we think a lot of people, and again, I think I saw some people on Twitter had mentioned this. I do think there are some video games that I think have had cool Star Wars stories that have maybe
Yeah.
contributed to the misunderstanding.
Force Unleashed.
Yeah,
did I
right.
say it exactly? Yes, exactly.
But that was what I'm
Um,
talking about.
There
No,
are-
great game.
yeah,
I love that game.
when Jedi
Or
are
quite policing the
disintegrating
canon,
yeah.
like-
when Jedi are disintegrating people and like just they're not doing
Right.
anything to try to save lives. This
Yeah.
is just like showing off my power, pulling star destroyers out of the sky, all this stuff.
Yeah.
That is cool. Like there are things I love the action part of it. That's a huge part of Star
Much
Wars.
more loosey goosey canon.
But it is. There's a
Yeah.
lot. I
Wasn't
think
even a
that
thing,
there are
really.
there are people, and doesn't mean I'm right and others are wrong, but there are a lot of people who go into the new movies. Oh, Luke Skywalker. The main thing I want to see is Luke Skywalker now. Mark Hamill back.
How much stronger
How
is he?
much stronger
Yeah.
is he? What
Right.
like it's this power fantasy of
Yeah.
what is he gonna do? Is he gonna stop a whole planet? I mean, remember one of them. This is random, but in one of the expanded universe books, Chewie is killed by a moon. I'll talk about that later. But if you want to talk about it, a lot of people are like, "There's all these great ideas
killed
out
by
there."
a moon.
Yes,
Moon.
also one of them. There's a Yuzan Vong and Chewie was
Some
killed by a
bad
moon.
ones,
So
too.
there's some really bad ones.
Right.
So be happy that we're not going that route with a lot of stuff.
Joe
There's a lot of stuff.
Chewie killed by moon.
Chewie killed by moon.
Hold that up for us.
And also, feel free to look up the Yuzan Vong because you'll be down a rabbit hole. You're like, well, this was in Star Wars, not from George.
Hey, we got Vincent in the
But
chat. What up, guys?
All that to say, this was
What's going on?
the
Vincent?
hero's moment was not him defeating Vader. That's not the hero's moment of this. The hero moment is that after he knocks down Vader, cuts off the hand, and then he looks himself and realizes this is the moment. Like, I either become that. I'm looking at my father. I become that, and I give into that and give into all the fears of what the Emperor is spewing into my ear right now. Or the Jedi moment is not, yeah, I'll took you out, and now Emperor, come on, I'm gonna slice you
I'm
down.
gonna
He
kill
you. Yeah.
throws down his saber.
Yeah.
And he's like, that's it. I'll never turn to the dark side. And so that's, again, I know it always feels like it comes back to The Last Jedi when we're talking about this, but when Luke in the pacifistic Jedi way, defeats his way of defeating in that moment in the Battle of
First
Crates.
Order.
He doesn't defeat the First Order and actually wipe them out, but he keeps his friend. The whole point of the movie we're talking about is not about defeating what you hate.
He's the
it's
spark.
about saving what you love.
Yeah.
He is the distraction. He buys time for Rey and everything they need to get out on the Falcon. And that moment, I just think it's so consistent when you go
He
back to
destroyed
Return
them
of the Jedi.
emotionally.
When you go back to Return of the Jedi and he
Right.
throws down the saber,
Yeah.
it is that moment.
That's the act.
That is the. I remember even as a kid thinking like, I never thought that Luke would surrender, or like that. I was like,
Yeah.
No,
in
he's just
my
gonna
mind,
kill
it's
him.
always, how is he gonna kill him? How is he gonna kill him? Oh,
Yeah.
he wins because he throws down his saber. That's the moment that he actually wins Vader back.
That's right.
It's
Yeah.
not Vader doesn't get defeated and go, oh, maybe I should join Luke. Maybe I'm good now because he beat me.
No.
It's the compassion.
It's realizing
It's the
that
compassion
Luke
is what
was
saves him.
willing
So-
to give his life,
He's willing to die.
was
It's-
willing
for
to
It's
his
just
die
so brilliant.
for
I
his
think.
father.
Mhm.
And so George is always about the themes and about he talks about these are morality tales. Morality tales for 12-year-olds. He always talks about that.
Yeah.
And that moment of not saying you always confront the bully. You train, you get stronger, you beat up the bully, and then anyone come at me and I'll beat you up. I'm not saying there's not times you stand up for yourself. Luke stands up for himself.
Mhm.
But he also shows that you can also do a lot by
Yeah.
showing compassion, and that sometimes changes the hearts of some of the people who have wronged you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then they're on your side now, and then all of a sudden the other bully is not so powerful when you got more people on your side
Yeah.
because stronger together.
for sure.
And that's my TED Talk. Boom.
Favorite part.
Favorite part, I think that moment, Luke throwing the
Really?
saber.
Awesome.
I'm never turning the dark side.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a great one. Joe, are you on there?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, am I?
You are
Oh,
he's on there.
Oh, I'm on.
Come on, baby. Favorite moment
Favorite
or
moment.
part or thing.
I really remember. I don't know if it was the first time or maybe it was the second time I watched.
Sounds like he really remembers.
Episode 1. I really. I
I'm
really
just
do
They
remember.
blend, it's like over the years it
Just
melds in.
I'm
Yeah.
just
What
kidding.
year? 12 years ago.
The third watch.
the Ewok fight.
Yeah.
Specifically, when they start like slingshotting like little rocks and Wick gets
awesome.
out there and he wraps himself up
The
in like a
slingshot.
bolo or whatever that was.
Yeah.
But I specifically when they chop the logs and they like
Yeah.
pop
I
the
love it.
head
Oh, it's awesome.
of it.
Crushes.
Boom.
I don't know
crushes
why, but
the
like,
walker.
That's
just
awesome.
just being
Yeah,
a
it's
kid, and I
great.
was like, it was
Yeah.
funny, and then he steps on the logs and it's like the
they-
Oh yeah,
you know,
I
like
love
the
it's like the
bowed
Oh,
metal
yeah.
sound.
It's like stop
Awesome.
motion.
They
or-
try to,
Oh, it's
Yeah.
so
they try
great.
to trip
It's
line
awesome.
them, and then he just starts pulling all the eel.
Yeah,
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is
Looking-
good.
Looking back on that, it was it was it's a little cheesy, but I love it.
It's
warm,
fun.
warm
It's the-
fuzzy feelings.
No, it was
Oh
the-
yeah.
Yeah,
That reminded me. That's exactly right. That was the last stop motion Star Wars, I guess.
That
Wasn't it?
moment, right? There's
Yeah.
Because
Might be.
the next one was all CGI.
Yeah.
yeah, unless what's Favreau doing with the with
Shouldn't
the
say the
IG-11,
last. At the
IG-12?
time. At the
'Cause,
time.
like,
True. Yeah,
Favreau's
at
done
the
some
time.
stuff
Now they're
that's
doing some stuff.
intentionally tried to make it
Yeah.
look of a certain age. So I like the way that IG-11
I think they just
or
cut
IG-12.
frames, probably.
Yeah,
They might. Yeah.
but it's cool the way they
But,
make
yeah.
it feel.
They do.
Oh, yeah, they
I don't
do.
know. I'm guessing.
Maquette, marionette,
They
whatever.
do.
It's
Yeah.
the
Vincent in the
movement
chat
is awesome.
says Lanjo.
Lanjo
Yes,
is,
Lanjo.
is here to stay.
Love
baby.
it.
Oh yeah.
We got Elite said, I really want them to show Luke and Ahsoka meeting, not just them already knowing each other. True, maybe we'll
Oh.
get that eventually.
That's a
Luke
moment that I feel like
and-
Filoni knows. Like that's a.
Yeah.
That's a.
I think has he
yeah.
addressed that?
I think he has.
I think he
even in
did
an
say
interview
I
said,
have
like,
I have a story already
I
made.
have a story for that. Like that has to be like he understands the significance of that.
Yeah.
It's like it's about finding the right.
He's like, I
medium,
already
the
have
right,
the story in my head
Yeah.
of what happened. It's just not anywhere to be
Yeah.
seen yet.
Because we don't. Because obviously
It's
when
gonna
we
be
see
cool.
it. Yeah. When we see it in. When we see
What if
him in
it
Book of
might
Boba
be
Fett,
in the
they've already seen
Ahsoka
each other.
show?
They've
If
already-
Ahsoka's going world between worlds, we might be getting
Oh, we'll get
anything.
everything. I think that's going to be cool. 'cause
We
we're
might
gonna
be
go all over
getting
the place.
everything.
She'll go back to Return of the Jedi. She could have intervened
Yeah.
to prevent.
She's the one who
We know that.
she snuck in and said, "Luke, throw your saber.
Throw it.
Throw it.
He's
Do
like,
it.
but I'll die.
Do it now. Do it now.
Turns out Luke wasn't brave at all.
Do
Do it, but I'm gonna die.
Can you imagine everybody? You look over and it cuts and
You
Ahsoka's
hear-
just force pulling his saber, and he's
Oh,
just
yeah.
like,
what in the world?
Say what?
I'm not
I'll never
doing
turn to
that.
the dark side, but the dark side is beating me.
Give me
Right
just a
don't.
second.
I'm a
Can you
Jedi like my
imagine
father
how
before
much
me.
people
Oh,
would
that
hate it?
worked. All right.
that's
love it.
great. But yeah, I think we could get a lot. I
This
think
is
we might
unrelated,
get
but
that.
in case I forget to get this in,
Yeah.
you guys saw? Did you see Natalie Portman was talking about Star Wars
Yeah.
recently?
I did.
Yeah.
And she was asked if she would ever return to Star Wars. She said, I'd be open to it. I've never been asked."
No one's ever
I-
asked me.
Yeah, I do think
Taika
it's
asked her?
It's a little
Taika asked her, "Have you ever thought about being a part of Star Wars?" And they're like,
wait. You guys realize this
"Is that the moment
this
Taika
is-
lost his movie?"
Chat, just if you're listening, if you're
Who's on the
watching,
phone, Kathy?
let me just lay out the timeline
Oh, I'm
of
s- I
events
don't?
here. Let me just lay out the timeline of events here. Taika gets asked to make a Star Wars movie. The next day, he asks Natalie Portman if she
Did you want
ever wants to be in Star Wars. The following day, Taika's movie gets shelved. Gets shelved for
Natalie
the time
made
being.
one phone call.
Kathy goes,
Kathy,
listen, you,
Natalie,
your first day.
Taika shouldn't be making Star Wars movies.
Taika,
He didn't see
just give
any
him,
of
give
the
him time.
prequels. Zero. Yeah. No, he just told me. None.
He
Okay.
just
He just
told
told
him.
me. None.
he
Is it
just-
none? Yeah, it's none. Yeah.
Yeah,
First it
yeah,
seems
it's
innocent, but then I'm like, how could you have to have seen all three? That's like that's
Bad-
important.
Bad-
She's one of
Bad-
the
this
main
isn't like
characters.
This isn't like a fun fact, like not knowing Keira Knightley was in the prequels.
Yeah,
This
right.
Is Natalie Portman. This is Padme.
This is Natalie
Now she
Portman.
did. She did look different, but her name's the same.
Just- the
She's in three
that
of
is
them.
funny.
I do
That's
think
so
her
funny.
character though is obviously more difficult to bring back.
It is.
How do you bring her back?
It is the quality of her acting. He didn't see Natalie Portman.
He saw Queen
Pa-
Amidala.
He saw
Saw Padme.
Padme Amidala.
So Padme.
He
That's
saw-
it.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
going with.
Yeah.
Saw faster,
It
more
is
intense.
difficult though, because I mean, I'm just thinking.
I do
Like
think.
logically, how would they ever ask her to come back unless
I will say,
they're telling some story
As someone-
before her death?
Yeah.
as someone who's a big defender of the Star Wars shows, I do think that it feels like, man, I wonder why they've never mentioned Padme.
It is. That is weird.
Like that does feel like, man, either like a missed opportunity, having the
I do think that is weird.
having the Leia, having young Leia in the Obi-Wan series, and having him even talk about his mother, and like, and there's little ways, but like Anakin, not even a mention of Padme. And there's
It
been
is
other,
weird that
there's been
her
other
name is
circumstances
like
where
her
it's
name
man,
is
it
not
is
mentioned.
interesting. They've
There
never.
are certain there are certain conversations that I think make other things you can't touch them anymore. Like it takes them out of the realm of well, now we can't do that.
Yeah.
The whole conversation with Luke and Leia, I think if he was going to edit something in Return of the Jedi,
Yeah.
if that thing about your mother is taken out,
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
it opens up so many possibilities with Padme.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
but now it's do you remember? No, yeah, just visions, nothing really. It's now it kind of locks it
Yeah,
in
it
this
did.
mysterious where they can't know anything about her
Yeah.
ever. It's just I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, they wouldn't anyway, but still,
It's
someone could have been telling them,
That's
like
true.
Yeah.
telling them stories. about
Yeah.
her. I
Oh,
don't know.
yeah. I know some people have even had since as the years have gone, some people have speculated and made their own kind of fun like head canon about like maybe that was the Force, like of her like
Oh,
her memory,
yeah.
like it's somehow the Force kind of just giving her a glimpse of what her mother was like. But there's no chance that as a newborn child, she's like, my mother is very beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm gonna remember that 25 years from
Yeah.
now. It doesn't work that way, especially when Luke and
Yeah.
Leia were the exact same
It
age.
doesn't.
Really? I never
Know
knew
your
my
mother.
mother.
I knew my mother. Really? We
That's
spent a
the
lot of
correct
time together.
answer. He got
Fast
it.
forward, George's
Yeah.
like, nope.
No.
Yeah. Vincent said that'd be great to see Natalie Portman in the future of Star Wars projects again. Yeah, that would be. Maybe like flashbacks for her coming back. Yeah, I mean, now as they continue to increase the de-aging and
Yeah.
flashback stuff. Ahsoka.
Mhm.
Ahsoka knew Padme real well.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. That'd be cool.
We've been too much on the rails, so
Oh, man.
I'm gonna derail it for a
Oh,
second here.
please.
Let's get it, Joe.
Get us back to our groove.
So I did want to look up Chewie getting killed by a moon because
Chewie.
that's a great
Here we
headline.
go. Chewie killed by a moon.
1999 was a novel called The New Jedi Order Vector
Yeah.
Prime.
Uh-huh.
That title goes hard, first off. But
Yeah, that is actually
I mean,
the New Jedi Order. Those books, by the way, are upstairs in this very house.
That's the
New
that
Jedi
was
Order.
the 7th version.
it's
Let's go with Vector
fantastic
Prime.
name. Chewbacca ends up sacrificing himself for Han Solo and his friends, Chewie,
course
so
he
that
does.
Han and everyone else may live. Ends up dying when a moon falls on top of him.
Oh
That's
my
a
goodness! I'm
very
so glad I
succinct,
did not make that up.
Just below that,
so glad you didn't.
25 ABY, Chewbacca died on Cern Pedal when Dubido, the planet's smallest moon,
Fell on
crashed into the world. Moments before his death, Chewbacca had heroically saved the life of Anakin, the youngest child of Han Solo and Leia Organa
Terrible
Solo.
decision. Just made the whole
So that's
thing
just
worse.
some prime.
Died to destroy the universe. The galaxy went into decline after that.
This is what I'm telling you. I know there's a lot of, and I grew up. I love a lot
Well, you
of
got
the
Luke
EU,
and Luke
the
too.
Legends
I mean,
books.
just, yeah, it's-
There are good and there are bad, and
Bad.
there's a lot of people who like to frame the new Star Wars or whatever you think of Disney Star Wars.
Disney
Okay, they
ruined
love
Star
to say
Wars.
there's a lot of people who say Disney ruined Star Wars.
Let's get
You
back.
hear
to
they hear
EU.
quotes like I know
Right.
Kathleen Kennedy. I know Kathleen Kennedy had a quote like a number of years ago that was like, "Well, making Star Wars movies is very different than making Marvel movies." She doesn't work on Marvel, but she's like from talking with Kevin Feige. There's all these years of comics, and a lot of those stories are long story arcs written out, and they pick
Yeah.
and choose, and then they change some of the details,
Right.
and they mix in. Oh well, in the Infinity Saga, we'll have this character's going to be out of it because we think this actually works better for what we're doing, and they
Yeah.
kind of have an idea
Create
of where
their
it's
own
going.
story out of the references of
The Star Wars
comics.
books, there's so many different things, but they're not like all these. It's not. There are like the Jedi Order books. There are the Zahn novels. There are these things that are going on, but
continued stories.
a lot
but
of
not-
people
some of
use
them you
this
just
as
can't.
just use all these non-canon books. Yes, there are good pieces of them because
no.
Filoni grew up as a Thrawn fan.
Yeah.
There's
And
Heir
some.
to the Empire.
As a Zahn fan, so he
Yeah.
brought in Thrawn. That's a
Right.
great example of how to do it. But for people to think that there are established full stories, we should have just gone with the full Thrawn Heir of the Empire story of this is what happens with Han and Luke and Leia.
Yeah, like that should have
There
been
are
the sequel
so
trilogy.
many things in those books that are also like I think George Lucas would even say like there's things there he likes and there's things he's like not really the way of the Jedi.
Mhm.
That doesn't jive with kind of
Right.
what my
Yeah.
thoughts are with these different
Yeah.
things. And then we have the Luke. Like imagine if Ryan Johnson was the originator or J.J.
Made
Abrams
the book. Yeah.
was the originator in the movie and we had no idea this was going to happen. And the big climax of the movie is a clone Luke. One, that would be cool. Like we'd be, whoa, I didn't
So
see that
Luke
coming
clone,
at all.
What's his
Luke.
name?
What's your name? I am Luke. Everyone gets up and walks out of there.
Just make that
like immediately,
But
like
he says it like he made it up. My name is
Boo.
Luke. What's your-
yeah,
Luke.
like he can't even think of it. Like he's trying to-
Luke? No. Luke.
Yeah, totally
This is-
unrelated.
This is a
No, there's
Michael
an extra
Scott.
U in there.
Yeah.
Luke.
You wouldn't know
Oh.
unless you saw it on
You
paper.
mean as in aim?
This is this is a Michael
With
Scott
2 A's?
Dwight moment. I have a dentist appointment. Oh really? Who's your dentist? Dr. Crentis. Michael goes.
Your dentist is Dr.
Your
Curtis.
dentist's name is
Dr.
Crentis.
Crentis?
Dwight goes.
Maybe.
Yes, maybe that's why he became a dentist. Your dentist's name is Crentist? This is that.
Yeah.
So again,
Maybe that's why we
this
became
is
it.
not to poo-poo those books.
Poo.
With 2 U's.
Poo-poo. It's just to show people love to
They're not
give
all
the new
good.
things a hard time
Yeah.
and say
Not
we
all
had
good.
all this stuff.
It is
It's
what
not
it
all
is.
rosy back then. It's not all
Yeah.
rosy now. There's great stuff throughout. And I love that now Joe fact-checked me, and I'm glad I didn't make that up.
Good
That
job,
would have been an
Joe.
embarrassing moment for me. But of course, I didn't make it up. Luke,
We
Chewie was killed by a moon.
We should add that in
Who's
as one
it?
of our segment bits that one time per episode we need to
Oh.
throw out a random
I like
truth
it.
or non-truth. We won't say, and then Joe has to
Joe's
prove or
looking it up.
disprove.
Yes, please.
That could be the most random thing.
So
We have
great.
to come in with one loaded.
Just wait
That's
till we
true.
get to
We can
the
have
news
chat
on
give us
Vaughn.
one too, and
So-
we have no idea. And
A
then-
couple of headcanon things. I like that phrase, headcanon.
Yeah, headcanon. It is good.
Clearly, George did not make the Emperor a clone.
No.
But
But in your head,
Thinking back,
Yeah,
on
your
it,
head
it
canon
seems
is nice.
to it seems to fit. But
That
the
it
other
was
thing-
already completed by then.
Yeah, I
Been
mean, it would
working
be
on
a
it for
perfect way
years.
to do it. Anyway, that's why
Yeah.
he wasn't afraid to die. It's like
Yeah.
whatever.
it's kind
That's why he told Luke, "Strike me down."
Yeah,
He didn't know. He didn't.
Wait, it's a,
strike me
it's
down.
like
And
it's
he
like
didn't
you
do
told
anything
Luke,
to-
strike me down. Like,
Strike
just
me
strike
down.
me, punch me.
Strike me down.
Strike me down.
Yeah,
You like a
I
dog.
think
Strike me
He
down.
went Trump and he went Sebastian Maniscalco.
like a dog.
He went
like
Sebastian
a
and he
dog.
went.
Strike me down like a dog. That ain't
Oh
good.
my
Promise you.
goodness.
No, but it makes sense though. Why he tells him to strike him down, and he
Doesn't
didn't
do
actually know. He
anything.
didn't actually know Vader was going to stop it. He just
Mm-mm.
didn't care.
No, he didn't do this.
No.
I'm going to do this because this will win him over. I think they're still good, yeah, and I'm not going this way. So he's prepared to die. I would rather die
Interesting.
than go to the dark side.
I like it.
I know we're gonna keep it short, but I want to share one thing. I think my favorite Filoni story from the gallery ties in with Return of the Jedi. If you haven't seen the gallery on
it's awesome.
on Disney Plus, it's the directors of the first season, directors of Mando first season, sitting around talking.
Oh, it's so
Filoni's
good.
on there, and he's talking about the importance of the relationship between Anakin, young Anakin, and
Mhm.
Qui-Gon.
Yes.
Mhm.
And
Duel of
how
Fates.
the Duel of the Fates is the death of Qui-Gon, and how that is the tip of the knife that
Why it's called
led
Duel of the
us.
Fates.
It was so important
Yep.
because Qui-Gon was leading Anakin out of love, compassion.
Father figure.
Obi-Wan is teaching out of duty, obligation, and he's much more rigid. It's not necessarily based on a love for Anakin as much as Qui-Gon, more of a father.
And he is a
compared
brother
to,
figure.
but
He even
even-
says, "You were my brother."
You're my brother.
Even so, it was harsher and
Yeah.
colder. And we realized that it was compassion that Qui-Gon brought to Anakin that he lost when Qui-Gon died.
Mhm.
The compassionate side of his teaching was gone.
Yeah.
Fast forward all these years later to Luke Skywalker, Darth Vader, Emperor in the throne room. It's actually compassion, which the Jedi say you shouldn't have attachments. It's
Mhm.
actually the compassion that Luke gives to Vader that redeems him.
Mm-hmm.
It's not power. It's not.
Right.
It's not any of the other things. It's not his ability with a lightsaber. It's not his strength with the knowledge of the Force. It's not any of those things. It's his love that actually redeems his father, which is what he had been lacking all the way.
Mhm.
Go all the way back.
His entire
Now, he had
life.
Padme, but we're talking
Yeah.
about as a
Yeah, as
mentor
the
and a
mentor.
As a mentor,
teacher.
I mean, his entire life.
That's right.
Born without a father,
That's right.
leaves at a young age, grew up
And-
a slave.
Absolutely. So that compassion, I think, that Luke showed to Vader was what brought about the
Yeah.
redemption.
Yeah.
Full circle from the beginning all the way to the end.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
awesome. I love looking. I mean, we've talked before about like the what if Qui-Gon had survived. What if? I mean, there's a number of things that would have. Obviously, there's so many
Yeah.
things that would have changed.
Well, yeah, he would have joined Dooku.
That's right.
I think maybe he would have.
He
Maybe he
might
would have.
Dooku thought that.
I actually think maybe Dooku wouldn't have turned all the way. I
Yeah,
mean,
maybe.
he was going down that path. One of the things in
That's true.
in Tales of the Jedi is that the
Yeah.
kind of final nail in the coffin is Qui-Gon's death. Is then like
There's
there's
no
no coming
one.
back.
There's no one grounding him there.
he
anymore.
loved Qui-Gon as much as they disagreed on things. He also thought that they agreed on so much in their way of
It was the
like
connection.
there was this
Mhm.
connection there.
Yeah.
That Qui-Gon would have been maybe the one who could have talked him again.
Or at
you
least
make
was
your own
holding- was
decisions,
holding
but
him
he
there.
could have been someone to actually maybe get through to him, have more of those
Yeah.
conversations. But it's Return of the Jedi is, oh man, I love it. The excitement, like the feel I always get of them, with the Ewoks. Lando's there. They're all smiling. They're dancing. They're dancing around.
Man, it's so great.
The Bright Tree Village.
The Death
It's the
Star
best.
moment.
And I don't care what
The
version
Force
I
Ghost
get.
at the
Come on,
end.
old
What
buddy,
version I
get the
get, where we
shield down.
get Force Ghost, whether it's Force Ghost Jabba in some of them, that would be hilarious. Can you imagine Force Ghost Jabba? He's just,
I got an idea.
Oh, what is that?
I got an idea to close it down. Rapid fire
Whoa.
Jedi quotes. Rapid fire Jedi quotes. Just it's a trap. Like just
At the top.
What do you got?
At the top.
I'll just keep going.
We can all do the same one. Let's do that.
Rapid fire. Uncle comes up with one and we just repeat it. At the top. At the top. At the top. This is great.
Well, my favorite one is I'll never join you. I'll never turn to the dark side. Yeah.
I mean, there's so many of the.
shields will be quite operational.
You
You'll
like
find
your
your
father
friends
are
arrive.
now mine. He's and like, and then I'm always imagining like Vader sitting there going like rolling his eyes like, dude, I'm not yours. Like, please stop. Like,
You
Yes.
don't know the power of the dark
I
side.
always loved it.
3PO.
So be it, Jedi. The way he says,
Yes.
I'm a Jedi like my father before me. So be it,
so
Jedi.
3PO.
I see you.
Tell them if they don't obey
a new
you, that you'll be
lightsaber.
angry with them and use your power, use your magic.
Yes. Oh. He's
3PO.
flying.
Just tell
Oh,
them.
we got Josh Reed in the chat. What's
Hey,
going on?
what's up?
Says
That's
my
great.
all-time favorite film, Ewoks. Oh, he's talking about Return of the Jedi, my all-time
Yeah.
favorite film.
Love it.
Ewok speedsters through the woods. That's what you were saying.
Speeder bikes.
Yeah.
The
Loved
speeder
it.
bikes through the woods, and the Emperor gets tossed. Yeah, so good.
Gotta give him more time.
The
I don't
speeder
have that
bikes.
shield
I
down.
also
Come
I-
on, man. Come
I
on.
love,
Come on, buddy.
I love you, I know,
Luke.
but reversed.
Oh, I love
It's
you.
good.
No, it's
I
a
love
great one.
I love Han.
Chewie?
Han talking to Chewie.
Chewie getting out of
Chewie!
the Walker.
I love Han talking to Chewie. Can't see it. Luke, a Jedi Knight. I'm gone a little while. All of a sudden, people have delusions of grandeur. It's like a Jedi. Like he thinks it's hilarious. Like Luke's a Jedi. Like Han.
I'm gone for a
I
little
mean, he was
while.
headed down that path. Han.
You
We were-
literally saw
we
him
were-
training
you
with
watched
a
him
Jedi.
train a
Jedi
Jedi
Knight.
Knight. Woof.
Got a little while. I guess
Delusions of
So
grandeur.
back up from your mic. We got to get our newest impression, which just killed it last week. So
Yeah.
let's just be Crumb.
Oh,
Lanjo.
Lanjo, take it away.
Joe,
Killing
take it
Salacious
away.
B. Crumb.
Killing
Killing him. Killing the voice. No.
Salacious B. Crumb, my homeboy. Salacious, the guy I'm having dinner with next week. Actually, we're eating the food. Yeah. Sitting there, pecks out C-3PO's eye.
C-3PO's eye.
It's so good. That is, Joey has done the best impression that's ever been done on this show. That is
awesome.
It's gonna be untouched.
It's awesome.
That was awesome.
Eyesight will return in time.
Yeah, that's it.
Who
are you?
Hibernation sickness.
Someone who loves you. Like you
Someone
could have taken
loves
off that
you.
helmet a while ago.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
You're throwing away a fortune. Don't be a fool.
Don't be a fool.
So great.
A Jedi
Uh,
Knight.
A Jedi Knight.
It's kind of wild. Everyone's getting delusions of grandeur.
And the
Chewie
crying.
just getting out of the walker. They look back. Chewie.
We also get a great Wilhelm scream during the.
Oh, there's a couple in there.
True.
Throughout there.
Throughout in the bunker with the charges and just going over the rail.
We get that.
I
We
love
get one with Boba Fett too.
That reminds me.
Yeah.
I was watching
Revenge.
Revenge of the Sith. I was watching
Little
Revenge of
higher.
the Sith the other day, and they're showing the battle on Kashyyyk,
Mm-hmm.
and the Wookiees are flying in, or like swinging
Yes.
in, like over the water on like vines.
Oh.
And there's literally a moment you hear George of the Jungle. You're
I
just like swinging in.
know.
I was like, wait a
We
second.
don't.
That's
do
hilarious.
that.
So good.
We watched it again in the no. I wish it
Yeah,
was.
the no. It's just
That's a no for me.
Yeah.
it's
But-
a no for me, dog.
You know,
I wish that they.
It's hard to separate what was there from
Yeah.
what is there.
Yeah.
It's a little more obvious in.
I still have my VHS
I do too.
set. I gotta go get it.
I
don't
do
have
too.
a
Mm.
And the VHS,
VHS
player. Yeah.
I don't have a player.
You know, we don't even have physical.
And wigs.
And wait. That is. This is for any big Norm Macdonald fans out there. This is
Player.
specific.
And wigs.
This is comedians
So
in cars
great.
getting coffee when he retells the story of. This is Norm.
Yeah.
Really
This is
doing
how he
this now?
retells it.
There's
Oh
just
my
no
goodness,
way.
it's the best. It's Norm Macdonald talking to Jerry Seinfeld. Jerry says,
Go
"Talk
look
to
that
the
one
this is
up.
the Frost Nixon."
And wigs.
Yeah, well, just look up
You
the
gotta
look
look
up
it
the
up.
clip. It's great. I
It's
can't do it justice.
Devices.
Or I suppose you call them hearing devices.
And wigs.
And wigs. This is just hilarious.
So
that
good.
has nothing to do with Star Wars. But look it up if you want to laugh.
Similar time.
Yeah, look it up if you want to
Yeah.
laugh. That's true. This all ties to Frost Nixon.
It's like 78.
This is great.
Yeah.
whatever.
But yeah,
Wow.
it's
40th
it's-
anniversary.
Oh man,
Go watch it
Just
if you
love it.
haven't. Go
Frost
back.
the Frost Nixon
Frost
debate,
Nixon
or-
is
That
highly
or
recommend.
yeah.
Oh,
Highly recommend Frost Nixon.
Also watch Return of the
Return
Jedi.
of the Jedi.
Oh yeah.
yeah,
That's a good one too. Those are good. They're both good movies.
Both good.
No,
Kinda
Return
depends
of the
what you're in the
Jedi.
mood
Go
for. Yeah.
go back and if you
Yeah.
haven't watched
Oh,
it, dial it up.
Dialed up.
Watch it. Enjoy it. It's a good movie. And wings.
Can't stop now. I love it.
I'm in.
Once you see the clip of what Uncle's talking about, you will be hooked too. Because
It's
it's
the
It is
dumbest
so
bit.
fun. It's the dumbest bit,
It's
and
exact
it makes
quote.
Jerry Seinfeld like one of the greatest stand-ups of all time. Think it's the funniest. He's cracks
it's
up.
Just
not even
dying.
cracks
yeah.
up. And there's not even a punchline. It's just in typical Norm fashion is the delivery in which he delivers this bit, and it's not even.
Chewy, way to go.
Oh man.
Always listen to your stomach.
Oh man.
Always following your
It's
stomach.
just-
Chewy, don't touch it.
Yes.
Joe, did you ever say what your favorite
Man.
moment was of Return of the Jedi?
He
We
did.
can we can close it. He did.
He did. Ewoks.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the
Down,
Ewoks.
man,
That's right.
especially
Ewoks.
The log.
The
smash.
log
That's right. That's right. The
smash
log
is
smash.
Smashing.
That's right.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
The log smash.
How about when Wicket or whatever? I don't know if
Yeah,
it's
Wicket.
But when he gets in the
Wicket.
speeder bike,
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
And
it's
he's
a
like
little
barely.
Salacious B. Crumb like.
It is a
It
little.
is.
He's
There's a
barely
lot of
holding
sound
on.
effects.
One-
He's
There's only
barely
two
holding on.
left.
He just.
He is.
Wicked.
That's
Oh,
It's a
my
classic.
gosh.
Han
Yeah, that's,
stepping on the twig.
Oh man.
I'll take care of it. We got it.
So good.
So
I
Han
just
I always
there's
Solo.
so many parallels with, I mean, the originals, but also this particular movie going to the prequels and to the sequels.
Yeah.
It's so great.
It was a great final chapter. It was great.
It is
We
the
blew it up again, killed him again, and that was it.
Yeah.
they.
The legend, Luke Skywalker.
And when it blew up,
Kill
we
me.
were reminded that nobody knew if Luke had gotten off of the Death Star.
Yeah.
Leia didn't know. Han didn't know. Just
It's
he made it out. He made it out.
Yeah.
it was just the ultimate
Mhm.
the ultimate victory for our friends who we'd watched. I like to call them friends. For our for our heroes.
For a
Um,
pitiful band.
Even Nine Numb. Yeah.
I wish.
That's not.
That's
I mean,
the
I
Nine
get
Numb
it how
quote
we
of the
tie
week.
it all together. I
Yeah.
want to go back and see it's out there somewhere on YouTube, I'm sure.
Oh, that's where I was
The
going with
original
that.
ending.
I'm glad you.
Oh.
Oh yeah, the original ending is
Yeah.
on YouTube.
Yeah.
But I'm glad. I was trying to think of one last thing when you were talking about the original versions of these. One, it'd be awesome. I know they're never going to. I wouldn't be surprised if it's in the contract that George signed with them. Like
This
the
is the movie now.
original movies are not going to be. The original
Released.
theatrical movies, I think, are never going to be put on
Yeah.
Disney Plus. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
I don't think you're ever going
Yeah.
to see that. The changes George made, he's not going to be like, yeah, I was wrong. Like he's never going to do that. This
Mm-mm.
McClunky's here to stay.
McClunky,
is here.
Which was new to Disney Plus for some.
Yeah, that
Right.
randomly George is like, I sold it, and also a couple years later, I'm gonna go. Oh, Kathy gets an email. George Lucas.
Check the
Add
fine,
just-
check
George
the fine
Lucas-
print of the
add
contract.
one
I threw
thing, Ken.
McClunky
He
in there.
adds. It's the emails from George Lucas, and it just says it's finally perfect.
He
Kathy
played a
opens the
clip.
scene.
It's a video like Michael
McClunky.
Scott said.
Batunte solo over my dead body. McClunky. She goes.
Oh.
All right.
Well, I guess that's in there now.
I guess-
All right.
Somehow I'm
well-
gonna get heat for this.
No,
Yeah.
that was
No,
like
it's-
that was like one of 50. And they're
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
"We're
They're like,
mixing-
all right, whatever.
Okay, we'll give you McClunky. We
We'll
are
give
not
that,
giving
please.
you
I'm not gonna give you
other
everything else.
49.
And
We're
they
not,
blocked his email.
we are not. Han Solo is not gonna
We
wear
can't-
a
we
pink.
can't.
He's not wearing. It's not changing the color of his jacket to pink.
We're not doing it.
Not doing that.
He's got all these aliases.
The
on
final
Gmail
thought
now.
of what I had though is, do you know that it is it is odd. It's weird thinking about the fact that we don't have even a way to get physical copies of Mando or Book of
Don't.
Boba Fett.
It
It
is.
is Disney Plus
can't be
only. You
owned-
can't
we
even
can't
buy a
even-
Blu-ray. You
can't
can't
own it.
buy.
I know.
You can't even buy the.
I
You
saw a
can't
lot
even
of-
buy the digital copy. Like
saw a
it
lot
is-
of people
It is
pushing
Disney Plus,
for,
and
uh,
that is it. There's
Disney
no
Plus
physical
is
copy.
making
of it.
cuts, and they're taking down a lot of their not a lot, but they're taking down a few things.
Willow.
like Willow's coming off.
Willow's
and
getting bumped
Yeah.
off
a
Disney
bunch of these
Plus.
things. I saw people saying at least put them on Blu-ray or something so people can go buy them.
Yeah.
But I don't know if they will.
They have to pay residuals.
Let's keep it on there.
Yeah.
So
So
wanna do
it.
I hate to say it, but I'm
Yep.
glad I didn't dive into Willow because
It's gone.
it's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always
didn't see
shy
it.
away from them at the beginning
Yeah, I kind of let it.
unless I know it's gonna
You know,
go.
it's gonna be.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's hard to. There's so many shows out
It's
there
so
nowadays
hard.
too,
Yeah,
and I've
it's
been burned by
so
shows that I've actually gotten into and was like, "Wow, I really like this," and then it ends immediately, and I'm like, "Oh."
The
I
content
wish
is
it-
just so competitive now. There's just because
Yeah.
there's so much of it. It's like, this is good, but this is great. What am
Mhm.
I gonna spend my time watching?
That's right.
Well, I
Yeah.
can
It's
tell
a
you,
competitive world.
there's only 2 options tonight of what you should be watching. You gotta be watching Return of the Jedi. And you gotta be watching Frost Nixon. No, you gotta be watching.
Gotta be watching.
You gotta be
Comedians?
watching comedians in cars getting coffee. Just go to YouTube, type in Norm Macdonald, Richard Nixon,
or
and you'll get
Netflix.
it. Yeah, Netflix. It's
Netflix.
also on his interview too.
Yeah.
Because he actually did it twice.
does it on
He does
there.
it on his show with,
Yep.
Yeah.
with Jerry,
Yeah.
and then he does it again. Because Jerry, the comedian in the car, says, "I need you to do this for me again."
Yeah.
So if you want to know, it's not even. It's going to be underwhelming for a lot of people who are a Norm Macdonald
Right.
fan. They
Right,
don't know
right.
what we're going to talk about. But it's good enough that Seinfeld heard it and said, "Please do this for me again."
So a little
that's
on comedians in cars, language is clean.
yeah,
On
Norm.
Norm's show, it
It's
will
not.
not be. So
It
if you're
will
in
not
mixed
be.
company, if you're in mixed
Yeah.
company,
That's true.
put the
Just, you know,
headphones in.
Put the
But-
headphones in.
Yeah,
It is very funny.
Yeah.
it is.
Return of the Jedi.
But
There
it's-
you have it.
There you have
Return
it.
of the Jedi.
40th anniversary.
Oh man.
Joe, any last words?
My gosh, he's got a saber to his neck or something. Any last
Yeah.
words, Joe? Walk the plank.
That's it.
Yes.
That's it.
Talked about
Rebel scum.
Dentist Crentist.
Dentist
It
Grant.
brought back
Yep.
this super obscure video that I saw years and years and years ago. It's still on YouTube.
He's closing us out with a video.
I love it.
We're not gonna play it.
Not
They're,
gonna play
they're
it, but he's telling us. He set
also
the
mixed
stage.
company. You know, there's some language.
Okay,
in there.
okay,
It's
good.
minimal, but it's called Star Wars 2: Phantom Crentist.
Phantom Crentist.
Oh my
But
god.
it's Star Wars 2.
Star Wars.
Star
Star
Wars
War.
2: Phantom Crentist. It's a bunch
Oh,
of
man.
cutscenes from Lego Star Wars, the original saga.
Oh, yeah.
So they weren't talking, and it's just like these 2 dudes just voicing. It's really bad, and it's so good. And every time they take a cutscene of Obi-Wan getting off his ship on a new planet, it's like, "Welcome to Dagobah, boys," and it's just like a run. It's really
That is
stupid.
funny.
Highly recommend the
Yeah.
video.
That when
There you go.
Funny.
We're sending you out with homework.
well, when Joe said Star,
go.
I hate to not close it out. Last thing, when
Star
Joe
War?
said Star War, that reminded me of a
Star
great,
Wars.
the great. This is a Lucille quote from Arrested Development. And she's talking to Buster, and Buster's like, Mom, he's talking about what to do, and she's telling him to get out of the house, and she goes, here's some money, go see a Star War.
Go see a Star
Here's
Wars.
some money, go see a Star War. And it's also the right time. This was
Right.
coming out like 2003, and this was this is
Yeah.
right in between. This is when the prequels come out. Here's some money, go see a Star
That
War.
actually is correct. And that's
Go see a
grammatically
Star War.
correct.
A Star War.
What were the exact wars in the first one?
Well,
The wars?
there's questionable titles
Battles.
throughout.
Battles.
Well, we
Wigs.
saw the
And there were battles.
we watched the
Um,
video that has all the titles are wrong in the wrong
Yeah.
order.
Well, it wasn't New Hope. I think it was just Star Wars. The second one
just Star
wasn't
Wars.
Star Wars: The Empire Strikes Back. It was just The Empire
The
Strikes
Empire
Back.
Strikes
the
Back.
third one was The Return of the Jedi,
Just like
or
Yeah.
Return of the
Raiders
Jedi,
of the
not
Lost
the-
Ark was Raiders of the Lost
That's
Ark.
right.
Yeah.
It was not Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Right.
Yeah.
But
Until they become huge, and then they're like, oh, now it's all
Jones,
called
the Temple
Indiana
of
Jones.
Doom.
now it's Indiana. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it for you, folks.
There you go.
That's it for you.
40th anniversary.
Return
Return of the Jedi.
No,
Loving
Porky
it.
Pig on you.
That's all, folks.
Yeah, that was my bit
celebrating
5
Star
seconds
Wars. 40
That was-
years. Return of the
Go
Jedi.
back in time, watch it again.
Yeah.
earlier. Watch it.
World Between Worlds.
Watch it again for the first time.
first time.
That's
On
the
Christoph's.
Oh,
There you have it.
And
Thanks for
wins.
tuning in. We'll catch you guys in the
And
next one.
Ewoks.
And as always, may the Force be with you.
so be it, Jedi. I just love. It has nothing to do with Return of the Jedi, but every time I just love the deeper, the
Right.
deeper voice of Palpatine is always the best of the.
Lost.
My boy. Like he's letting out a belch.
What can you offer me?
Everything. It gets lower and lower.